They are called water hydrants, or sometimes
yeah.
fire hydrants. So just connect their pipe and they have water running. But what is funny, most of these water hydrants, yet they are very visible when you go to KCCA, that approves plans in the city. Everywhere where there is a water hydrant, it is clear on that map if you're going to build. But many of these fire hydrants, water hydrants, have been built upon. Someone constructs a mall, what, and they are covering a water hydrant, not knowing that in case there is a fire, this is the tapping point, and then this plan is approved.
But also, shouldn't most of these buildings, like, take it upon, owners of the buildings or even the facility, take it upon themselves to make sure that there is a visible hydrant in the location? Because imagine all that distance from, right from where the fire started, the generators. If that was, a closer thing, then they could have noticed and maybe notified the fire brigade once they got there. But also the extinguishers around there maybe could have helped. But I think most of these things, the fire issues, is that we do have the things as a decoration. And like you said, even to the extent that a hydrant has been built on, it's obscured. And this is something that should be, in the open right there. Because once fire brigade comes, then they have to act fast. But when it's not there, then you have issues of everywhere catching fire. And that's where we have an issue, Robert.
Well, and I'm also scared when it comes to food. Most of the Ugandans these days, we either go to the supermarkets or actually we go to markets. And some year back, we had what we called the Ame worm. Remember how it destroyed maize gardens?
Yes, yes.
Now we've gotten an invasion of the African Ame worm. The other one was the African fall worm. So what is happening in 12 districts of this country? Sorghum, millet, and maize, where ordinarily you get posho and animal feed. They are under attack. And these caterpillars, very black, long enough, once they land on anything green, they're destroying it. So we survived the locusts, and now here comes this kind of worm that is really dangerous to our crops.
I'll tell you this is going to pose a huge challenge in terms of agriculture, because yes, we did survive the locusts and they had not covered, a lot of areas within the country.
We had the old
but the issue with caterpillars is they don't easily go away because they keep, breeding. The breed is there. So when we have such a thing, and at the time when the season is just starting, this is going to be a huge challenge, because this is when most of the crops are starting to
so
put on
season
leaves.
because it has more rain compared to the other one.
This is our first major rainy season. That means that it also feeds to our first major season that we have in terms of agriculture. But when we see this is going to be a big challenge, because now all the crops are starting to just grow. So it's going to attack the leaves that are young, and that's where we have a challenge. And I do hope that there is a plan to make sure that, I hope the Ministry of Disaster and Preparedness, they have already gotten this on ground, make sure that this goes away. Because I believe there can be some kind of spraying that will stop them maybe from increasing. Otherwise, we could be looking at a huge shock in terms of our produce this season. I don't know.
We just hope and pray that they react very fast. Districts like Nyonyintono, just very near here in the central, they have been affected by this, and a number of them. And of course, we know that when issues of food costs go high, it is problematic. People are complaining of soap, but maybe you could have an alternative. But when it comes to foods like sorghum, foods like millet, talk about that is maize. Both animals and human beings, and many Ugandans survive on, we must speak the reality. Posho is food for many. Many schools, posho. So we hope the Ministry of Agriculture and husbandry, that is MAIF, will move in very swiftly and save this situation.
So, Robert, I did follow up on the story about the increasing prices of commodities, and it has been blamed on the taxes, especially the ones that are coming in on international, imports. However, there is a big question on how about the products that are made here in Uganda. They don't have to be taxed on that international tax that still remains, and they are blaming it on increasing, the prices. But soap is made here in Uganda. So how is it still up there, and yet that tax has been lifted? What are they blaming it on? Is it just, the retailers? What is going on?
Well, to me, I've always told Ugandans and my government that tax is not the problem. Even if government reduced tax on soap, for example, at factory price, a bar of soap is at 5,000.
Yeah.
How does it get to 12,000 in some places, in Masindi. How does it get to 10,000? So unless you have a regulatory framework that is going to prevent Ugandans from this exploitation by law and can be enforced, government will lose tax. How? Because they're going to remove tax on soap, tax on this, tax on that. But then the retailer or the person selling will put any price they want.
They have
as
a free
long as
market.
people, as long as people can buy, you know, just the basics of economics. Here you have where there is demand and supply at play. You have a willing buyer, you have a willing seller. You know, so unless you have a law, but I don't want our government to lose tax, thinking that there's going to be a trickle-down effect. When we had fuel prices high here, government dealt with a few companies I won't mention. But today, a liter is going almost at about 5,000 something. So we just need laws that can be enforced to protect the ordinary Ugandan. Well, so much happened over the weekend, and let's take a look at what made it to our news desk. Some of the highlights of our news. We'll begin with the fallen speaker, where a funeral service was held in honor of the late Speaker of Parliament, Oulanyah, at his residence in Muyenga. This service was led by Reverend Dr. Joel Obatia, the retired Bishop of Madi. He tasked his preaching on the second coming of Jesus Christ, tasking mourners to be prepared when the time comes. The service was attended by the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, Chief Justice Nyonyintono, Prime Minister Robert Nabanja, among other dignitaries. The casket containing the body of the former Speaker of Parliament, Oulanyah, left Epras funeral service home in Mengo to his home in Muyenga at around 7:30 a.m. Government officials, relatives, friends, and well-wishers from Muyenga community were there at the funeral service organized for the former Speaker of Parliament. In his sermon, Obatia said, "It is time now that people prepare so that when the time comes, they are rest assured of where they are heading." He asked the children of the late Speaker to emulate the good their father did and always remember God in whatever they are going through. Earlier on, children realized the former father and also those he took care of. Government officials were led by the Speaker of Parliament, and they came up with a conclusion to have a fund that will continue with the good work the fallen Speaker has been doing, including paying school fees for over 120 children at Seroma Senior School. And yesterday, property worth millions of shillings was destroyed into ashes by a fire that gutted Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries stores located in Wandegeya, Kampala. According to preliminary reports by the Fire and Rescue Service Police, the incident was a fault of recklessness from one gentleman who was burning garbage within the premises. He is currently detained at Wandegeya Police Station as investigations continue. Valuable documents, properties, and other items that had been kept for years were reduced to ashes. Although police responded in time, fire destroyed substantial paperwork and other valuables. After nearly 4 hours, the police fire and rescue team finally managed to put off the fire, though losses were incurred. Police wants National Water and Sewerage Corporation to reactivate water points in Kampala metropolitan areas in order to ease putting out of fires in case there's an emergency. By press time, the extent of damage was yet to be valued, though key suspects were already in police cells. Yesterday marked 2 years since the late Kampala Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga passed on. Rubaga Cathedral Sunday service was aimed at commemorating the life of the late and also praying for his souls. Kizito Lwanga died on the 30th of April last year after participating in the Way of the Cross. It is for this reason that the memorial service was held to remember the man, marking a year now since his death. The mass was led by the bishop, that is Augustine Kasujia. Family members and clergy and the general public frequented this place at this time during the service to speak about the life of the late. And finally, in our local news, Karamoja women are asking to be included as key participants in the ongoing disarmament operation Usalama kwa Wote for the progress of this operation. They claim they have all it takes to persuade men who are cattle rustlers to drop the vice. Karamoja sub-region continues to experience insecurity, with children and women holding the duty end of the stick. Now women want to get involved, stop this insecurity, saying they can speak to their husbands and also have knowledge of who are those stubborn rustlers still holding the guns. The women normally communicate their message through songs and drama. The Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Dr. Mary Goretti Kitutu, is happy for the effort invested by Mastiko to mobilize the women in ending insecurity. Dr. Kitutu advised Karamoja women to add more value to their products, mainly bids for better and wider markets of their products. State Minister for Karamoja Affairs, Agnes Nandutu, was overwhelmed by the women's effort to recover guns from their men and appealed for unity in the process of restoring peace in Karamoja. The chief of party at securing peace and prosperity in Karamoja under Mastiko, Mark Longodi Guti, explained that their effort is building capacity among Karamoja women to yield for a better livelihood. Longelo adds that when women and youth gather to do their art and craft in these communities, they discuss issues of peace to ensure that Karamoja is pacified at the end of it all.
We move on to the international scene, beginning off with the Russia-Ukraine war, where the UN chief urges independent butcher probe. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says that he was deeply shocked by the images of dead civilians in the town of Bucha near the Ukrainian capital Kyiv and calls for an independent investigation. Ukraine's prosecutor general says the bodies of 410 civilians have been recovered from areas in wider Kyiv region from where the Russian forces withdrew. And Russia's defense minister also denies Russian forces killing civilians in Bucha. Moscow requests the UN Security Council to convene to discuss what is called a provocation by the Ukrainian radicals in Bucha. Now, as Moscow forces retreat from areas near Kyiv, evidence of dead civilians is mounting. Reporters in the town of Bucha outside Kyiv have found at least 20 bodies thrown in the streets. Germany condemns a terrible war crime, and France's President Macron calls pictures from the scene unbearable. The UK Prime Minister says despicable attacks are evidence of war crimes. UN Secretary of State Anthony Blinken described the scenes of the bodies on the street as a punch to the gut. Now, Russia mounts air strikes on the strategic southern port city of Odessa. Russia says it's targeted oil facilities in the region that Ukraine was using to supply its troops. Crossing over to Hungary, Orbán hails great victory after landslide election win. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has hailed a great victory for his Fidesz party after preliminary results showed the right-wing group winning Sunday's general election by a landslide. Now, the win, Fidesz's fourth consecutive election win, was by a much greater margin than polls had suggested after a campaign overshadowed by the war in the neighboring Ukraine. The Russian invasion of Ukraine had forced Orbán into awkward maneuvering to explain the decade-old cozy relationship between Russia's President Vladimir Putin, but the 50-year-old mounted a successful campaign to persuade his Fidesz party's core electorate that the 60th party opposition alliance that is promising to mend ties with the European Union could lead the country into war, an accusation that the opposition denied. Addressing a jubilant crowd chanting his name in Budapest, Orbán said Sunday's victory came against all odds. Now, crossing back to Africa, Mali says over 200 fighters are killed in military operations. Now, Mali's army says it has killed 203 combatants in an operation in the center of the Sahel state, with the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the country, saying it has had reports of civilian death, raising human rights concern. The army said on Friday that the military operation took place in Mora region in the central Mali from March 23rd to 31st. It arrested 51 people and seized large quantities of weapons, according to the army's statement. Now, the announcement comes as numerous social media reports in Mali this week alleged that dozens of people, including civilians, had been killed in Mora. The AFP news agency was unable to verify the army's claimed death toll or social media reports. Now, poor access to Mali's conflict areas and a relative lack of independent information sources means that the figures provided by either government or armed groups are difficult to confirm. The Mali's ministry also issued a statement after rumors on social media that 300 civilians were killed in the village of Mora, which they said was a terrorist field. They also said that the neutralized over 300 terrorists, as said by Al Jazeera's Nicholas Hage, reporting from Dakar in the neighboring Senegal. Now, Hage said Malian state believes in the area being controlled by the groups linked to the Al-Qaeda and the ISIL, so that there has been a push to regain the control of the area. In the weather and climate news, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report is to be published today. A major new report from the Intergovernmental Panel detailing what the world needs to do to mitigate climate change is due to be published this afternoon. Now, it is the third in the series of 3 major reports by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, and is designed to update governments and policymakers about all the latest scientific findings related to tackling climate change. It has been 8 years since the last update, and throughout the period, greenhouse gas emissions and global temperatures have continued to rise. Scientists say that greenhouse gas emissions would need to be halved by then to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees and prevent a runaway climate crisis. So today's report is expected to pull no punches. It will highlight the urgent need to phase out fossil fuels and for transformative changes to our energy systems, land use, to industries, buildings, cities, and the system. The need for enormous increases in investment for the future climate finance for developing and poor countries will also loom large.
Well, a number of stories there, and war is becoming war. Now we are looking at how many people died, who killed who. At the end of the day, I ask myself, where is the love? Where is the love, you know?
Are we going to heaven? At this point, I feel like the world has veered off. But when you look at even stories of wars in the Bible, there's always, I think humanity has had wars since the very beginning of time. There's always been killing, whether it's army against rebels, whether it's rebels against civilians, there is always killing. And at this point, I ask myself, is there, a turn back? Are people going to reach an extent where we're saying, okay, enough is enough? Because guess what? I'll give you an example of Russia-Ukraine war. Even when we're talking about that being in that place, now you have everyone else poking their nose in that war because they have to. At the end of the day, there are innocent civilians who are dying. And then you also put into question the international humanitarian law. Is this being observed? Because when you look at a larger extent, when you're throwing bombs, you don't know whether this is a hospital that's being hit, whether these are, reporters, journalists. So it's a challenge. And at this point, I think we've really done a lot of damage as humans.
Well, all we can do is pray and always believe that dialogue. Because at the end of the day, these people fight. Then you hear them calling for dialogue. Ceasefire, let's meet here. Why didn't you use that alternative first before bloodshed? But at the end of the day, it's where you're going to resort to. And also this issue of fossil fuels. For us, we are just entering the disco club. And it seems we hope you're not using science to fight political wars.
Robert, you always support this fossil fuel venture for Uganda. I know that you're a big supporter of that. But we are not going to deny the fact that the world is phasing out fossil fuels. And you cannot exclude yourselves as a country and say, no, for us, we are new. Let's first get something out of it before you phase it out. Because honestly, we also can't deal with the disaster.
You've exhausted what you have. You've had all
Are we ready to to deal with the
Governments
disasters
have
that
all
are even
these.
happening in the country. We do have floods, landslides taking people. So what are we benefiting from venturing into a line that is being phased out for our good? I think it's not fair, Robert. Yes,
well, we shall debate that over a cup of coffee. And I know by the end of our debate, you will have seen maybe my perspective. And also when I come to the developed world, where sometimes they use science to hoodwink us to fight their own political wars, thinking they are for economic purposes. But I cannot get tired of reminding you that even in this new week, Hallelujah Tamarind and Hallelujah Jingati are here for you, for your own benefit. Make sure at just 1,500 you get yourself a bottle of this. Well, when we return, we'll be having the youth perspective of the late Foreign Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, and we shall be having Sam Ogwal, who happens to be the Finance Secretary at the National Youth Council, discussing, giving us lessons they learned from that life of this great son of the African soil, as we are still mourning the life of the foreign speaker. We'll return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This.
A window opens. She grabbed her last command and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Of selecting the Speaker and Deputy Speaker is over. It's all done. Like the President said, there were some issues that had gone beyond what should have been in a normal contest. I pledge not to hold a grudge with anybody any member of parliament. First of all, it's not my nature. I don't bear grudges. I will not victimize anybody for whatever has happened in the course of these discussions and processes of coming up with a speaker. I am not a vindictive person. It's not my nature. That will never happen. But if you feel that you have gone beyond, you went beyond the lines and you need us to have a discussion and apologize to each other, you're welcome. We can come to the office, we sit and have a discussion, we laugh, and then that is it. We start a new life and move on. And to those who I could have offended in one way or the other, I apologize publicly. And I ask for your forgiveness. I could have done it myself without knowing, or some of the people who are working with me could have done it in my name or on my behalf. I apologize for all those, and I ask for your forgiveness. If there are issues you think we should talk more about, come and we talk. This country belongs to all of us. The people sent us here collectively to focus on two things: defending the national interest and perfecting service delivery systems to them. And as the President said, the main point for these 5 years is socio-economic transformation. We are part and parcel of this, and we should do our best to deserve the respect the people gave us to become members of parliament.
The casket containing the body of the former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, left a plus funeral home in Mengo for his home in Muyenga at around 7:30 a.m. Government officials, relatives, friends and well-wishers from the Muyenga community were here for the funeral service organized for the former Speaker of Parliament. In his sermon, retired Bishop Joel Obatia tasked mourners to renew their commitment to God.
Yes, God has a way in which to show us that He wants us there than here. There are some works here, yes, we do these things. But our real work is to do service to God, and it is there. And if our response goes to Jacob right now, and we write a letter and say, Right Honorable Speaker, you have just started your work as a speaker. We still want you here. He said, I'm doing a better work up there.
He asked the children of the late speaker to emulate the good their father did and to always remember God in whatever they are doing.
Heavenly Father, we stand here together with the close relatives and the children of the Right Honorable Speaker, Jacob. They are here, they are broken, they don't know what the future holds for them. Our lives in Africa are so well knitted that we lean upon each other.
Earlier on, the children eulogized their father, describing him as one who was loving and caring.
For example, there was this bowler dance that came here. What would Daddy do? Okay? What would he do? I'm at the risk of saying we're right now in heaven. Okay? Because in this song we follow, they say there's Mara, there's love. There's Gumkom, which is fortune, there's good luck. There's Kwo, there's life. There's Lego.
Government officials were led by the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong. Anita Mong took mourners through some of the late Speaker's final moments while at Parliament.
And whatever we are going to do in that Parliament, we will always do and say, what would Jacob want to be done? What would Jacob want to be done? And we will make sure we fulfill his vision. We want to thank God for Jacob's life. And we also want to thank the government for according Jacob a state funeral.
On his part, the Chief Justice of Uganda, Justice Alfonso Nyonyintono, intimated that a trust fund aimed at furthering the good the late Speaker had set in motion will be opened.
We take over the children of the deceased as a matter of course, not because we wish to be hallowed, we wish to be remembered. It just comes naturally. Because it is the children who allow us to wipe away our tears.
It was revealed that the late Oulanyah was involved in a number of philanthropic activities. Today's service marks the start of week-long mourning activities which have been lined up before the late Speaker will be laid to rest at his ancestral home on Friday this week. Samuel Sendono, UBC News.
Well, yesterday marked the beginning of week-long events that are going to be carried out this week as we head for the final burial of the foreign Speaker of Parliament. Now, the body yesterday was removed from A+ funeral home and driven to his home in Muyinga, where we saw friends, relatives, and a number of dignitaries there eulogizing the life of the foreign Speaker. And of course, a proposal for a trust fund that is to take care of the children. Jacob Oulanyah has been a father, not biologically, but helping when it comes to school fees and all that is needed to over 120 children. That is in Seroma Senior Secondary School. He has been paying for their fees, looking after them, and of course, as a father also to his biological children. Now we saw the Uganda Bike Association members also there. And of course, a symbol to honor any biker that dies is the helmet of that person is put next to the casket as a sign. And we call that his last ride, that we saw them lead the casket to his home. We know that there's going to be a number of activities today, and of course, yesterday the body is at the home where friends, relatives are paying their last tributes. Now, what is going to happen tomorrow? The body will be brought to the August House, that is Parliament, and the Speaker will lead members of Parliament in paying their last respect to the foreign Speaker of Parliament. Wednesday, the body is expected at Koro ceremonial grounds, and there we shall also have His Excellency, who is going to be the chief mourner there, and of course, a few dignitaries that have been invited, about 1,500 people. Strictly, it is not for everybody to get there, no, but strictly on invitation, a few dignitaries there, and thereafter we shall have the body that will be flown to his ancestral home, where also it will spend a night there, and of course traditional or cultural leaders and the public in Omoro will have an opportunity to pay the last tribute to the body of the son there. And then finally on Friday, we shall have the late Speaker, Jacob Oulanyah, laid to rest. But like I earlier communicated, that we'll be having lessons, the youth perspective, the life of Jacob Oulanyah. And with me is the Secretary of Finance, National Youth Council, Sam Ogwar. Sam, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, we are still in a mourning mood of one of the greatest sons of Uganda. I'm also coming from that region, Jacob Oulanyah. And we know as youth leaders, in one way or the other, Jacob Oulanyah could have been maybe a mentor or somebody who really had a break in the leadership and developing youth into leadership in this country. Do you have any fond moments of the fallen speaker, personal?
Thank you very much, my colleague. Jacob, who's now the late, our fallen speaker, has been a leader that we, the young people, look at, a generational leader of our time, very inspirational, and we feel like we have lost a mentor. I interacted with Jacob, my first interaction. It was in 2017. He was still then the deputy speaker. We were in Gulu for a function. By then, there was a Thanksgiving function for the previous speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly. And our interaction was centered that whenever we were discussing, I was still a young person. So his words of wisdom, when he saw me, he told me that, young man, continue whatever you're doing. When you get time and you're in Kampala, look for me. So that was my first face-to-face interaction. So when I met him, of course I was still just out of the university. We had a couple of discussions. And I must say that whenever you have a discussion with Jacob, clearly you'll see someone of a nationalistic character in him, someone who will redeem hope in you as a person. And we, the people of northern Uganda and Uganda in general, we feel like we have lost a leader, we have lost a unifier of this nation. One or two things that Jacob's work has contributed immensely in northern Uganda, specifically. You remember the issue of Apalan, the contentious issue of, I think, around 2019, whereby the Choli communities were having issues, conflicts with their colleagues in the East Madi. And His Excellency, the President, entrusted him to take the leadership to resolve that conflicts. And as I talk now, because of Jacob's work, the two communities are living peacefully, irrespective of whatever difference they have. Because he reached in the community and all that, that's the problem that need to be what? Resolved. And not only that, the issue of nodding syndrome that happened in northern Uganda, I think it started around, it was recognized in 2017. And government seems to have not paid attention to it. But Jacob, when he noticed that there's some sort of illness that has affected the area in northern Uganda, he proactively took a decision as by then the deputy speaker and brought the issue in parliament to all government accountable and answerable. What are they doing? And it took leadership at that point. So basically, we feel like Jacob, for over this period of time, we have always been seeing him as a man of hope, whereby he can make things happen. But of course, we cannot control death. The Almighty God has called him, and may his soul rest in peace. But we are the young people. There are few things that we need to learn.
Well, we'll get at the few things that you need to learn as young people, because we all live and die, but what is most important is the legacy we leave behind. How do we want to be remembered when we die? When you talked about the issue of nodding disease, I remember very well he secured a supplementary budget of 1.3 billion that went to northern Uganda to help families with children of nodding disease, a disease that greatly affects the nervous system of these young children, and many are now adults actually, but at one time, if they're affected by this disease, their life can never be the same. Now let's look at lessons, because Jacob is gone. Friday we will bury this great son of the African soil. But then what lessons do you as the young ones learn from a life well lived, a life well spent?
One of the possible lessons that not only the young people should learn, but every Ugandan should learn, is that we should look at Jacob's legacy, and as a man who had a figure to unify the country, irrespective of our differences. You know, we are living in a country whereby even if we don't want to talk about it, there's some sort of division. But Jacob would not tolerate that. His message at every point of interaction has always been unity and peace. Live in harmony with one another. Let us be united. And that's why we are able to celebrate his legacy as young people, that he was able to unify the northern Uganda, the Choli, the Lango, and the West Nile together, and they look at one strategic direction, which is the prosperity of the region. And that is one thing that the legacy that should remain alive in us as the young people. We cannot achieve much if we are divided, if we are not working together. Because you can be very exceptional and excellent in doing something, but if you bring your expertise together, you can actually achieve bigger things. So, and he has also been a champion of prosperities of northern Uganda, economic development of northern Uganda. When you look at northern Uganda, the area of Lango, Teso, Acholi, and West Nile, the place or the region suffered a lot because of the 20 years of insurgencies.
LRA area, the Lord resistance.
People were internally displaced, they lost properties. And here come a leader at the right time who has successfully managed to unify us, to speak in one voice, and who has successfully been the champion to ensure that we upgrade ourselves from the lowest level, from poverty level that has affected to commercialized aspects of life, development to come in. People should now start living. And as you can see, you notice that northern Uganda, when you look at the poverty index, has started going down. And people, development has started coming up. The economic activity had started booming. So one thing that we, the people of northern Uganda, will not need to let it go away is that we must continue development. And as the young people, we must take leadership in that, because we form the biggest majority of the population in the region and also entirely in Uganda. So if we continue preaching the word prosperity and practicing it and getting every necessary intervention, both from the government and the development partners, Jacob will live in his grave a happy man that I started a journey that is appreciated by the community.
Let's look at Oulanyah. Of course, we can talk so much regarding being a focused man, unity, prosperity. Let's also have a look at life moments with Jacob Oulanyah. As a youth, I want to refer to him as a man who lived a well-spent life. When it came to official duties, he was a very good timekeeper. When it came to doing his business in Parliament, we would look at a man who was calling for research. Everything Oulanyah did, he was on dot, perfected it. But also Jacob had the other way of enjoying life that few dignitaries, I must say. You know, some people have a very fixed complicated. Life, when they get to those heights, they take our few people. I personally had some light moments, and that is the biking. First time we told us the deputy speaker is coming. Like, this could be a joke. So did you have a time to share this life, this very man full of joy, full of life, enjoying life to the fullest?
Yes, there are one or two moments that, of course, every human, despite the serious aspect of work, you must also have that aspect of life, which of course connect you more with the people around you. In 2021, Jacob was assigned the responsibility to coordinate the campaign for the youth members of parliament in northern Uganda. And of course the young people were many. This is a man who came and who has into politics and all that. Very lovely, always smiling. And I remember one word where the one he told the youth leaders was like, "Today I have come and I'm going to reign here." Everyone was happy. He played our traditional songs, the yodeling, everyone was dancing. And as the young people coming from different part of the region, connecting with, by then he was still the deputy speaker. It was really a very wonderful moment. But also not only that, personally, even before we started the campaign, the day he arrived, of course, as national leaders, we are part of the team that were leading the campaign. And definitely we had an evening chat. Also, our colleagues, Honorable Nubatma was there, and other youth MP, Honorable Liliana Bear, and Honorable Fiona Nyamutoro. We were all there seated, and I had a friend of mine called, we works with, called Moses Chidega. The conversation was it was more of an informal thing, and we felt like we are getting connected to the people. We are the young people, are getting connected to the people who really inspires us a lot. And it's these opportunities we don't get all the time. Because you remember, our life is taken mostly by this business part. But if someone creates time, he arrived at 9, from 9, and be with you up to around midnight. You just seated on the same table. That moment, a lot we learn from that. So, beside this busy life, and we must appreciate that he was a man that down to earth. You will never meet Jacob and he'll leave you with that smiling. I remember with the last interaction we had with him, it was in Agago. We had a Youth Day celebration. For the first time, the speaker of this country attending a district Youth Day celebration. It was organized by our colleagues, the National Youth Council, and the Secretary for the General Secretary, Wilson Uto. And his command, before I reach Wilson, or before I step in there, prepare for me, our traditional dancers, the one that have been welcoming him with. The moment he arrived, took him, the dancers welcoming, he joined the people, he was blowing his things, and he was
So we had that very interesting clip.
And I saw the pictures running over, all over. So it was a man that would feel like, I embrace culture, I embrace my people, irrespective of the power around me, irrespective of everything. At the end of the people, whatever matters most is the people who are around me, the community that I must always work with, the community that I've given me. So well, literally.
Well, Sam, I choose to remember the humor, the soft side of the speaker. Let me have your final remarks regarding this life. Are you in any way, as the National Youth Council, involved in any of these arrangements? Are you going to be anywhere?
Yeah, as a National Youth Council, most especially the leadership of the National Youth Council from the northern Uganda, we are working closely to support in the process of the barrier arrangement. We have come up with a team that our youth leaders from Lango and Acholi should be there in Lalogi on the day of the burial to support in other activities, because the people are going to be many. They're expecting around 30,000. And as young people, we felt like we should give a contribution to that. And so we shall be there during the burial as the youth leaders from Lango and Acholi. And not only that, we are trying to coordinate. Our being there is not supported by whatever someone financial, but we are contributing among ourselves, because this is a man who really, in his life, was for the young people, and he had the vision of ensuring that the young people of this country reach at a certain level. I remember he told us a story at one point that I will never forget, that when they were still in the university, he and Honorable Rose Namayanja, the current Deputy Secretary General of NRM Party, would travel from Kampala. They were still in the university leadership, up to the western part of Uganda, but it would take them around a week to reach western part of Uganda. And whenever they reach there, they don't look at anything. How much is it going to be given, or how much do we need to do? Their main objectives had always been, we must go and communicate the agenda of the young people. And whenever they reach there, they speak about it passionately and encourage us always. When you're talking about the issues of the young people of this country, speak passionately about your issues. And that is when people are going to give it attention. And that's why we, the young people, have been learning a lot from him. It's very unfortunate that we might not get that opportunity again, but in our life, we feel like he contributed. He was one of the strong advocates for the youth leadership budget in a government allocation towards the youth budget and all that. So basically, we feel like we need to support the family within our small capacity, to stand with the family, and also to show that he was a man for us, not against us.
A man for us, not against us. Jacob Oulanyah. Well, he will be finally laid to rest this Friday. And of course, this week, there are a number of activities that are going to lead to Friday, when he will be finally laid to rest in his ancestral home. Sam Ogwa, Secretary for Finance, National Youth Council, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And we pray and hope that the good things learned from Jacob Oulanyah will live years even when he has gone.
True.
We'll return shortly. Mollen is ready to take us through that is weather and nature. And I'll be back later on. Good morning.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last command and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and Grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you, or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win. Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
Are your children ready to learn? Schools are open. As parents and guardians, it is your duty to ensure that your children go back to school. COVID-19 prevention measures have been put in place to keep students safe as they go back to school. Not only do teachers prioritize everyone's health, including their own, but they discourage violence among students. They also ensure that students follow SOPs. Any concerns are reported to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Dear parents and guardians, you too must play your role. Ensure your children always maintain a 2-meter distance from others, avoid crowded places, regularly wash their hands with soap and water, and wear a washed and clean face mask that covers their mouths and noses. Please keep your children at home if they're feeling sick, and take note. In our effort to keep students safe, there are no visitation days or any other school visits allowed. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Well, a very good morning once again. My name is Mollen, Kenyena. I will be taking you through some of the news that we have across weather and climate. And we'll start it off with what is making headlines in the newspapers for today. And from what we're seeing over the new vision, we're starting off with experts advises diabetes on fasting. Well, much more of that story on page 23 and 24 of the new vision. In a big headline there, students to miss UNEB over IDs. Well, and government deploys system to audit recipients of capitalization grants. Well, that is also right there in the new vision. We also look at about the late speaker, the over 20 students, and also they're looking at the fees for those worried. Still in the new vision, we look at Panga thugs raid homes in Kampala. Now that and much more, you will be getting it if you get yourself a copy of the new vision for this morning. Crossing over to the Daily Monitor, the Acholi MPs reinstates Oulanyah burial cash. Well, that is also a big story right there in the New Vision for today. Bobby attacks government over rights abuses. Well, that is also on the page 7 of the Daily Monitor for today. Inside the story, why Museveni shuffled RDCs. Oh, there's a lot to uncover right there. But also in the big picture, they show you on the arrival of the body of the late speaker being received by the guard from the police right there. And also in the Daily Monitor for today, BBC probes cult churches in Uganda. That and much more. Get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor for today and you will get more of that. Now looking into the Daily Nation for today, why I ditched Lyra for Luto? Well, the Turkana's governor speaks out. That is Nanok. On that, get yourself the Daily Monitor today. But in 2022 also, you look at Lyra's attack could have burnt the nation. Oh, that is President Kenyatta speaking out on the politics over there. Where is the fuel? That is still a big question everywhere, not just across Kenya, but across East Africa. And I think that's a big question that needs getting more of that story in the Daily Nation for today. A corrupt judge, Roge Law, and a sinister plot right over there if you get to page 6 and 7 of the Daily Nation for today. Get yourself a copy and you will be getting much more of those stories across East Africa. Well, also we dive into the weather and climate situation for today. We have had more of the highlights coming in from Brazil, where we did see heavy flows of rainfall that started as we headed into Friday across Saturday and Sunday, and that triggered landslides over the area. Well, so far we have reports of 14 people being killed from this landslide. Now, there were a lot of homes that were also destroyed from this landslide, but also the continuous rains that did bring in floods that were running across the city, and that has also brought in a lot of damage from the pictures that we're seeing across the area. So far, after heavy rains triggered flooding and landslide in the southeastern part of Brazil, that is the state of Rio de Janeiro, the state civil defense has told press that so far there is a confirmed number of 14 people dead and a lot of homes have been destroyed. Now, among the people who have died, we do have 6 people from the same home, a father and children, and also some that were rescued and transported to the hospital. But the volume of rain registered in the last 48 hours was the highest to ever be recorded in this area, according to city's government officials. Now, after 4 other people were injured, also 7 houses were reported to be hit by the landslide, and that has left more than 22 neighborhoods sustained in flooding, and 71 families were destroyed from these landslides. Now we look into much extent of where this covered. Now it looks like, according to the municipality, most of these were really due to the floods that still held from that heavy downpour that started off Saturday, and even right now there's still more rescues that are being put across over the area, as more of the homes are still buried by this landslide, and we don't know whether there could be people still trapped down there, but there is a rescue team over. And what they're briefing over the news is that there's still more to be confirmed in the aftermath of the heavy rainfall that did happen over that area, that is the southern state of Rio de Janeiro. And so far, even it being the first time taking to a record of 48 hours of heavy rains, something that they haven't seen before, is what already climate scientists are interjecting and confirming that this could be related to the extremes with climate variations that we do have. But also, if you look at Rio de Janeiro, specifically, even Brazil has had a lot of extreme weather events for this season, starting off with also the wildfires that did trickle down across southern Brazil. And also, not to mention that part of the Amazon is already reported to have lost cuts, and that is in terms of forest cover. And most of the deforestation actually being done to the Amazon has been locally attributed to encroachment by governments and civil society. They have encroached on the Amazon without any environmental considerations, which is the one thing that Brazil is facing now. On top of that, they have to deal with most of these extreme weather events. But also earlier, we did read a story of the fact that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is releasing a report third in line on the state of climate across the world. Now, when we talk about the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, this is a body that was formed by the UN to bring together climate scientists, policy makers, and the best of the best to look into what is happening across the world. If we are talking about climate change and climate action, how far have we gone? What is at stake? What can be done? And this is the body that has now come up to say, okay, we have the third report, henceforth. And what they're recognizing is that there is a general trend in increasing temperatures across the world. And the repercussions, obviously, are what we're seeing on an everyday basis, that is extreme weather events. Now, most of what has been attributed in this report is they're looking at the increase in use of fossil fuels. We have failed to move away from the use of that. And earlier, Robert was defending the fact that, a country as Uganda, we're just venturing into fossil fuels and we shouldn't abandon it just because the world is moving away from that. I say that's a wrong move. When we say we're cutting down this, we're looking at such reports that are worrying and saying that if we don't stop the use of fossil fuels, we're going to be dealing with much more of flood instances, landslides, to droughts, and a lot of catastrophes that are coming, really. Now, the UN Science Report is also publishing its final report in the current assessment cycle, and that is being done today. And this time, this focus is on ways to curb the greenhouse gas emission. Now, there has to be means to make sure that we do have this in control in terms of greenhouse gases, which is why we worry about fossil fuels, because once you use them, then you're increasing, those greenhouse gases. In particular, we're looking at carbon dioxide and also looking at methane, which is some of the gases that have really kept us in this whole, line of having temperatures increase in the atmosphere. Now, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change will be looking at more than 195 governments that have signed off on the findings that it has done. And so far, what they are looking at is a hard fought for global consensus that can, report on climate deniers and also, those who are doubting the concept of climate change. Yes, we do have a lot of skeptics, and it's to me it's funny, because if you are seeing the results of what is happening, you're dealing with extreme events, and you're still skeptical about the variations in your climate. And some of these are actually scientists. There are always people who veer off and they're like, no, according to my scientific findings, this is what is happening. But this is a full body that has been put across to give us the findings. And so far, they are saying that by 2050, if we do not cut back, if we do not avoid completely the use of coal and avoid, venturing into fossil fuels, we could be looking at losing our targets. The target was set in 2015. That was looking mostly into how far, temperatures are rising and where we can keep the rising temperatures. And that we're talking about the Paris Agreement, which came forth to say we need to keep the rising temperatures to well below 2 degrees. And the target is 1.5 degrees Celsius. By 2050, according to the report that is preliminary findings from the report that is going to be published today, we could be already off that target, looking into what we are doing right now. There are not enough cuts in greenhouse gas emissions. And so far, also looking at one of the areas that is warming at a very worrying rate is the Antarctic and the Arctic. This is a snow-covered area, and for the longest time, it has been known as the world's coolest place. But it's no longer in that category, as we're looking into a warming trend over there as well. Now, much of the snow has melted away, and the coverage that is coming in from the satellites, it's worrying, I can assure you that, because we're looking at much more of the snow melting, especially across the Antarctica. And this is something that even the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is getting to look into, and saying that we could be looking at more of the devastating, results as the Arctic warms up. And also the study notes that the scientists in 2007 actually considered including emerging research predicting an average of rise in sea level, and that should be on the West Antarctica ice sheet. Now, this is what we're talking about, because even then, from 2007, the report has been looking into much more of this increase, not just to the western part of the Antarctica ice sheet, but this could disintegrate as they look at much more of, even coastal communities were warned of the risks that they could face until the next IPCC report, which came out in 2013. And thereafter, I think what we're having right now is this report that is coming right today. And as IPCC also looks into what could nearly happen, that is in 2100. Now, are we going to wait for 2100 to see what happens? Now, this is the science that is coming across, and they're appealing to everyone to say, this time we should pull any punches. Now, I wish these punches are really targeted towards the countries that are pulling out of, natural gas imports, because these are the kind of punches that we need. There is war happening. Yes, there are civilians dying. Yes, it is unacceptable. Yes, there are war crimes that are already being put across for Russia. But how about the environmental concern that Russia has put across, the effort that it has put across to maintain the flow of natural gas? And the same countries that are actually saying, you know what, this is something that we should be taking across, are considering going back to the non-renewable sources. And I think this is where IPCC's punches should be targeted. Well, that is my opinion, but also we still continue to observe some of those reports that come across and what can be done. Now I'm looking forward to most of the findings that will be put across for today. But from that, we want to also look into the weather that is happening across the country. And from the satellites this morning, we do have mostly a sunny morning that is coming across most areas of the country. We look at eastern Uganda, across the West Nile, that is where we have Arua, that is where we have Yumbe, also parts of Gulu, looking into Padel as well. We are looking at mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions for this morning. Now, we do have a little bit of cloudy conditions developing, that is across the southwestern parts of the country. And that is also bringing in a few clouds over the area, but we do look into mostly sunny intervals that will be coming across later. Now, for now, this cloudy system seems to be moving away, where you see the blue colors to green right there. That's a cloudy system that was there, bringing a little bit of rains towards areas of Fort Porto and Toroko, but right now that has cleared away. We're looking into much more of a cloudy morning over there, and across mostly southwestern part of the country, Kabale Highlands, across Mbarara, Masaka, Mubende, we're looking at a cloudy morning, but also most of that might be, developing into rainy conditions as we head into the afternoon. We'll be going ahead to take a look into the forecast for this morning, and that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Take a look into the weather that we're expecting for this morning, and also how we're faring in terms of temperatures. Now, we start off with the central part of Lake Victoria, that is Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso, and also parts of Boyukwe right there. We do expect isolated showers that will be coming in later as the morning progresses. Heading to the afternoon, temperatures are expected to be at a pleasant 26. Across the central part of northern Uganda, Gulu, Kitgum, Padel, Adjumani, we're forecasting sunny intervals, starting off with a hot 30 degrees centigrade. We do have most of those conditions continuing into the afternoon. We could be looking at the lower 30s as well, even in the afternoon for that area. The western side of Lake Victoria, we do have Masaka, Kalisizo, Sembaule, Rakai. We are forecasting isolated showers as well. That cloud is already developing over there. We could be looking at rains. Also, as we head into the afternoon, we will expect that system to continue, starting off with a cool 25 degrees centigrade. Now, looking at Mount Elgon Highlands, we do have Mbale, Bududa, Bukwa, Sironko. We are forecasting sunny intervals, starting off with a pleasant 26 degrees centigrade. We are looking at sunny intervals continuing even as we head into the afternoon. Now, the southwestern parts of the country, we do have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi. We're looking at Rubirizi. We are forecasting isolated rains. Those will be coming in and also likely to continue into the afternoon, starting off with a cool 25. Across the eastern side of Lake Victoria, we do have Tororo, Busia, Iganga, and Jinja. We're forecasting sunny intervals. We already have a sunny morning for that area, but we do expect some of the clouds to move in, and also that might continue into the afternoon, starting off with a hot 28 degrees centigrade. We could be hitting 30s for that eastern area of the Lake Victoria Basin in the afternoon. Now, eastern Uganda, we're talking about Soroti, Katakuya, Moria, and Kumi. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, starting off with a hot 29 degrees centigrade. Now, that area is expected to get only hotter in the afternoon, as we do expect sunny conditions to continue over there. Now, eastern side of the central, we do have Luero, Wabulenzi, Bururi, Nakaseke. We also have Nakasongola in that category. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine. We're looking at temperatures starting off with a warm 29 degrees centigrade. And also we could be looking at some of the rains coming through for that area later in the afternoon, and temperatures are also expected to be equally high. Now, you do look at most parts within central Uganda, also for northern Uganda and as well as parts of eastern Uganda, temperatures are still really high. That's one area that if you are moving there or around there, you need to keep yourself with that water bottle. Although we do expect some of the rains to pick up, especially across the southern sector, there has been quite a reduction, and that is mostly attributed to some of the pressure systems that are developing across the Indian Ocean, but also those dry winds that are still coming in from the northern Africa. That means they are bringing much more of that dryness, especially across northern Uganda, which is why we're still talking about dry conditions over there. But we do expect things to change, and the prospect is that as those systems move away, then we can enjoy some of the rains that are supposed to be coming in for this rainy season. Well, I'll leave you at that. We do have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up. Robert will be here to take you through that. And then later we'll have sports highlights from Ruben as we're talking about the Qatar World Cup, the highly anticipated, and already there's a lot coming through, and I know Ruben will be taking you through much of that. Well, I want to wish you a good morning. My name is Mollen, Kenyena.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Professor Maggie Chigozi states, the time is now for all of us to get vaccinated.
When we have one person who's not vaccinated, it affects everybody around them, most especially the ones close to you. Keep your families safe. Anyone right now who's over 18 should go and get vaccinated.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others, and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu
was brought to you by
Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Pay for your dream phone, Mpola. Get your dream phone today for as low as 1,400 Uganda shillings with free data for a year and pay slowly. All phones come with daily 50 MBs for 12 months. Repayment period is 1 year. Available at MTN service centers and M-Kopa shops.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Well, we are still mourning the death of the fallen Speaker of Parliament, and this week a number of activities will take place till the final send-off of the fallen Speaker Jacob Oulanyah. That will be on Friday at his ancestral home in Omoro district. However, so much is still happening, and we also want to look at other issues that are very relevant to Ugandans at such a time. And today we want to discuss the financial inclusion of the parish development model among the 7 pillars. Now, this is the new baby that government believes will elevate the peasants into commercial agriculture or meaningful agriculture, but also that has a multi-sectoral approach aimed at improving the welfare of Ugandans, starting at the lowest administrative level, being the parish. And with me on set this morning is, that is Nyonyintono, Parish Councillor, LC3, Mubazi Baker, who represents that particular parish at KCCA. Baker, most welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Let me hope it's okay to remove my mask.
It is very okay. We have some social distancing.
Oh, thank you.
And we hope, well, don't do it there. We are doing it because you are social distancing. And of course, to be better audible. Now, Baker,
yes,
let's begin by understanding the parish development model. You know, there has been a lot of excitement.
True.
And more so when it comes to financial inclusion. But this is something that has 7 pillars, financial inclusion just being one of the pillars.
True. Good morning, viewers. By the names of Mubazi Baker, a councillor at Makinde Division. Financial inclusion being it is the pillar whereby everyone at the grassroots is involved, because the money bit of it, because we are transforming from subsistency to the money economy. So that is the direct involvement of the people down there to this activity. So in regards to our organization, because it has not yet reached Kampala, that is as a district, that's the city, it is still outside Kampala. But as we prepare to receive the parish model within Kampala, we are involving our communities to get prepared, because we already got the parish chiefs in our areas, in our parishes. So we will have to organize them in associations, which will be involved into the parish circle, because the parish chief shall form a parish circle, which will have all different associations within from the community. So this is where we have to prepare, like our people. Kampala being a bit different from the village setups, like in outside Kampala. In Kampala, we don't do digging, we don't have farms. Our farms is, because we buy food. Food comes from outside. So our associations are basically in business-related activities, such as, let me give an example. We have people who have associations which are making liquid soap. Because liquid soap is a business, and they can also form an association. We have people like down there in Juakali who are making these small shoes out of different materials. We have people who are making candles, people who are doing like distribution of produce, things like that. So in Kampala, the difference we have in how we are going to benefit in this is we are going to ensure that the different people doing those other businesses are able to form associations, and even individuals. We call out even households. Different households could be doing a particular thing, and they can also form an association, register it at our division, and they're able to be part of the parish circle.
So when we talk about forming these, we know that this financial year, each parish is getting 17 million.
Yes.
The next financial year, we are looking at 100 million per parish. Yes. But there's one element that when I look at the financial inclusion that puzzles me.
Yes.
You know, when we talk about a parish in rural areas, it's very different to that one in Kampala. That in Kampala, one parish could have the size in terms of population, 3 parishes in the village.
Yes.
Huge numbers of people. So how are you going to handle this as leaders,
yes,
as politicians, Because we know this money is a drop in an ocean.
Yes,
but
yes.
when it becomes so thin on ground, then the impact may be less.
It being a revolving fund, because it is not going to be like it has to come and it is absorbed. And these associations are going to be saving. It is not all about that you are going to give you money when you're not saving. You have to save, and the money is given to you according to what you have on your account. So the 17 million, it being a revolving fund, so it will be given to a group of people who are saving to that capacity. Then the same money will be brought back in reference to their saving after they are boosting their business. So the more their business grows, the more we expect this money to be coming back, because it is a start. It being a start, since we are waiting for the 100 million in the next financial year, so we are looking at how this 70 million can start, in that it is a kickstarter to mobilizing the people down there to benefit from it. Yes, please.
Very interesting Kickstarter. But also one thing that comes to my attention, our government has shown the will to ensure that it elevates people, most of the youth. We had the Youth Capital Venture Fund, the Youth Livelihood, we had Wealth Creation, Agriculture, had NADS, we had the Ntandikwa, Northern Uganda, we've had the NUSAF, so many programs. I can, in fact, take a day mentioning many of them. Those are indirect and direct. But how different is this time the aspect of financial inclusion? We know we've had circles for quite a long time. These credit and saving and cooperative societies have been here, and there was a time when the president was everywhere, politicians were everywhere, form circles, the government will inject in money. At the end of the day, we see something slightly similar. How different? And are you really optimistic that this time around, this is going to deliver the intended goal?
Okay, this time, the bit of the parish model, it is the whole structure. Parish model is not like it came to specify to financial inclusion. It has other pillars that get involved with it, that come with it. So many other programs have come up, and most of them may not have delivered as expected. But we as government, there is a pillar called community mobilization and mindset change, because which is going to really assist in the training and sensitizing the population and our people down there to get to know how to benefit. And this money, because before our people had this feeling that this money is for their own use, yet it is a benefit to the community, that they have to use the money, then another person uses it. That's why when I saw parish model, it came with the whole structure, whereby it had a pillar of communication, community mobilization and mindset change. So we have to continuously talk to our people, train our people, give them financial literacy, understand how to spend money. This money has come not purposely to be for your own consumption. Use it, another person uses it. And what are you using it for? So we educate them, because me, I'm an advocate of education to these programs. So we have to ensure us, like now me, down, because we interact directly with the community. So we expect the community to get information from us. If I'm able to sit in the community and explain how do we benefit from this. So the continuous training and awareness has to be like the key in this aspect, whereby to avoid the other failures of Ntandikwa and other programs that have really not kicked off properly. But now the parish development model structured all that, and it is all catered under one umbrella. So we are looking at one thing: how do we ensure all these pillars are on the ground?
One of the pillars I enjoy, actually I'm optimistic, will create that change, is mindset change.
Yes.
But you're a politician.
Yes.
At parish level.
Yes.
How equipped are you? Because most of the times, some of these good programs has failed because the politicians either choose to deliberately act that they don't know for their political interest, or honestly, they're not informed enough, and you can only give what you have. Let's look at politicians at parish level. You know, we are almost entering another financial year. And these 17 million in one way or the other must be consumed.
True.
Must be accounted for before we go into the next financial year. We expect each parish to have 100 million. True. It seems the spell of time since it was launched, and so how have we ensured that the key stakeholders to create the mindset change to sell this gospel for people to better understand them are well equipped with knowledge?
Thank you, Mr. Kirabo. Now, let me be direct in this matter of mindset change. It shouldn't start from our people down there. It should start from us, the politicians. Yeah, His Excellency, when he was launching the parish development model, he encouraged leaders at all levels to be involved in this, because we are the ones to assist the community to understand and benefit from this. In fact, recently I was at the Parish Model Secretariat when I was calling on the coordinator, the national coordinator, to first come and this mindset change should start with us, because it is us who really give the information down there. Because to date, the politics is overtaking the program. So for us to avoid this politics overtaking the program, it's us to get the knowledge. Because me as an individual, because probably I'm NRM and I support the manifesto of our president. So me being NRM, I take the initiative to look for the information and always have it and be able to talk to our people. So that's why I call up the Secretariat to join me. We also educate our brothers, because our brothers in opposition, they are willing. Some of them are willing because they have started seeing the beauty. Though, due to the different information flowing here and there on how the program may not be so effective, some of them are not taking the time to read and understand how the program will be implemented. So I would call upon everyone, because I try to talk to the people around me, mainly the leaders, to empower them to have this information, to also be able to talk to our people. That's how the politics shall be managed, because we are all part of this. We are serving the same Ugandan. So if at all we can talk to them, however much you are an opposition, we are serving the same Ugandan. And in fact, what I loved recently, we had a meeting with the executive director for KCCA, and she clearly stated it in the KCCA Act that we shall all implement the manifesto of the ruling government. So even if you are an opposition, but you're in the ruling government, you have to implement the manifesto of the ruling government. So I think this mindset change, this pillar here, should start from the leaders. When the leaders are informed and they understand, I think our people really be able to get out of poverty, because poverty will start with us.
Well, mindset change, how it's going to be carried out, that is also something that, Baker, you should throw more light to it. Yes, you're a politician, and one would say we have numbers, we talk about these things, but you see, mindset change is not an obvious thing.
True.
It contains persuading, it contains a lot of teaching, because we've had not so much success of the previous programs. If we are to evaluate what we've put in and what we've gotten, the billions that have been injected into some of these programs, if you're to do an audit, beneficiaries vis-a-vis what has been generated, sometime may not be in tandem. So, and one of the issues you're talking about is because the minds of these people are not prepared very well. So how is this going to be carried out?
Going forward, the fact that we have this pillar of community mobilization and mindset change, it is a big pillar. When you break it down, it will call upon, you see financial literacy, you see community engagements, you will see information delivery to the people. So when you put all that together, it is a gradual process. For us to encounter the challenge you have faced in the past as government, we have to continuously teach these people. But who is to do the teaching? It is with the leaders. Because if the leaders were empowered to do that, in fact, the program will be a success. But now, we first have to get these leaders. Mainly, you see, LC3 is like these days, because it's like almost an LC1 post. You're always with the people. You wake up in the morning, you're meeting people. Or every corner you go, you're meeting people. So you're always interacting with these people. So if at all we're empowered and we have the knowledge and we're able to talk to our people every other day, so this is a continuous process. I guarantee that there would be success. We shall register success going forward. Yeah, because our people really know that we also have the knowledge. Because today you can find a councillor and someone else, I've heard of parish model. How are we going to get the 17 million? Can you be getting 1 million? Maybe we can.
Something it's money that is going to be shared between LCs, then divided by the people there to come at the parish, lower down till the lowest person. Maybe they get their 1K or something like that.
Some of them think like that.
There's so much in the minds of people.
Yes.
But also, as we look at financial inclusion, let's also briefly look at these other pillars, because financial inclusion is almost at the tail end.
Yes.
Among the 7 pillars, I think it's either pillar 5.
Pillar 3.
Pillar 3 around there. So let's look at these other pillars that are creating that conducive environment for the financial inclusion to kick off.
Yeah, when you read the NRM manifesto, there is industrialization, ICT. We have like 4 pillars, four core values.
Parish model fits more in the National Development Plan 3.
Yes, it fits there. So when you look at this, like let's say the agriculture, and let me look at the agriculture bit of it, whereby we are going to, through the parish chief, different, because farmers can be in an area whereby they can do, let me give an example of pineapple growing, and some others are growing mangoes, things like that. So we want to look at it in this way, that how do we identify these people? What do they need? How do we make them earn from their sweat? Because this is an elimination of a middleman. A middleman who comes from wherever and buys a farmer at a lower price, not acknowledging that this farmer has put in a lot. So me, I'm looking at this other pillar, because agriculture is pillar number 1. If they identify like the growing of pineapples in an area, and the parish chief captures that information, it feeds upwards to the National Development Plan, and that's the National Planning Authority, to also know what is going on. What would they need? Would they need a factory? Would they need a market? Would they, like such? That's how we have to help these people down here. So now, if the management has come to the parish, we believe like it will really empower the people. So when you look at that's pillar number 1. Now when you look at that's pillar number 2 about infrastructure, there would be need of a road. How will they identify the need of a road? So through the parish chief shall identify the activities done in a particular parish, and they will identify the need to access these activities. Let's say let's say markets. How do people transport? What do they need in that particular parish, so they can either put a road, or they can identify, like, let me give an example of a hospital. If they have to put a hospital in a parish, the report of the parish chief shall feed backwards up to the district. Because when the district is allocating a budget, they will have to look at what has come from this parish. Because a parish can be having a big number of people. Let me give an example for Kampala. But yet there is no nearest government hospital in that particular parish. So that information will help, like, assist the people down there. So when I look at this structure of parish development model, it is really touching everywhere. Because now when we go to social services, how do we know these social services? How do our people get to access social services? What do we need in a particular district? If we have a hospital, how shall we know that this hospital has enough beds? Recently, there has been a photo on social media flying around, like babies were put on chairs. That's crucial information for the government, basically. And because if that information comes up earlier, we shall not expect to see such. So which is a plus to the development.
So basically, it's government bringing all its agencies,
yes,
all its ministries now to focus work at the parish level.
Very true.
To ensure that it is a matrosectoral approach.
Yes.
That if there is any planning, let's begin with the parish. But Becca, we've also, over a time, there are certain things that have become part of us. Yes. And in one or the other, once you mention of any successful government program, we have political intervention. Some is positive criticism. Others are lies. Others are aiming at just ensuring they get political capital. You've just talked about involvement of politicians.
Yes.
But you find that many politicians may want to distance themselves from government programs, those that are mostly in the opposition. The good they can offer is crush them, crush them, and show them as another avenue of stealing money. To Ugandans, how are we guarding against this?
Because Ugandans are the voters. Because government is for the people, by the people. So if Ugandans put you in that seat, and we as government, we bring the service or the program to your area, and we say we are going to do a training in your area, people will account for you for that.
For not attending?
Yeah. Because these Ugandans are no longer in that, because me have seen a change. I saw this wave coming when people were like saying, how can an NRM person win in Kampala? Yeah? But the fact that I was with the people all the time, because they also see the things happen. Because before our government, we wouldn't reach down. We'd stop at the top, at the politicians who is going to trash this program. But this time we are coming to your door. So this politician will really also know that the government is at the door. Some of them trash to protect their interests in their constituencies and electoral areas. That's why they guard these programs to reach the ground. But for the sake of us, creating more mileage for the delivery for Ugandan, we have to come to the downer person. How do we get to your doorstep? That's why I'm seeing parish chiefs have a big role in this. They have to be they have to be accountable. That's why some of us should be, I'll volunteer that, to ensure a parish chief has to do their job. Are they really delivering? Are they being pro-people? What have they achieved in this period? So we're also looking at that. The few of us who are there and we are very positive to these programs will ensure that in these particular areas, at least government delivers.
Well, I love the fact that you've said the few of us that are willing, and you speak with a lot of zeal and determination to see this work out as far as transforming the lives of Ugandans. You know, poverty does not look at which party, which political affiliation you are. Poverty is poverty. When you don't have money to take your children to school, it doesn't only happen for those in NRM, for those in NUP. It is a universal problem. So we should all embrace government programs aimed at fighting poverty. But when you mention of money or government program, one thing that comes to the minds of Ugandans is corruption.
True.
Nezo bajaziria. Tell a person, no, let's go for this, let's go for that, this and that. When I move in the public, I see loss of morale to embrace some of these programs. Loss of morale. There are those that maybe are like prophets of doom. They've already seen this as something. So how are we going to restore public confidence, Baker? I know there are fellow councillors with you that you discuss and are like, Nezo, that's also, so confidence. How are we going to restore confidence? How are we going to guard against issues like corruption? For coming up with circles, then at the end of the day, you know what happens sometimes in our country. But confidence and eliminating corruption.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kirabo. Corruption is, we should handle corruption, all of us. It is not being left for the government to handle itself. It should be for all of us. This time, the reason why I'm saying the beauty of parish model, it is coming at your doorstep. So you will know where this money has gone. You will know who took which amount. And you will know how the money was distributed. So I think corruption is something we should handle together. Not saying the government should look at corruption. Where does corruption start from? From us. Yeah, so me, I'm looking at it in this way. even some of these opposition who may say that money is also going to be stolen, some of them don't take the time to know the procedure on how to acquire the money. Some of them tag the money to NRM. They say the money is given to NRM cadres. But an NRM cadre will go and look for information. That's why when I had the next financial year of 200 billion, whereby 120 billion is for sensitization. Yeah? So if 120 billion for sensitization, these people will know now they are right. At least we shall have corruption at a certain level, reducing.
Because people will be empowered with the right information.
They will be empowered.
To follow, look at these checks and balances, yes.
Someone will know what is needed, why, where did this money go? Because accountability now will start at the parish. Yes, the parish chief, why did you give this money to this group? Did they deserve it? They didn't save. Because now if someone knows that we have to save, and we're given in regards to what we have saved, so money is given to a group that has not saved, then there is a question. So there's accountability. All these people in these positions are accountable to the citizens down there. So we are looking at how to enforce that accountability. Is information flow. If we create a channel for information flow to the Ugandan down there, people need this information. But some of them are taken off by when someone comes on radio or TV and just makes noise just unnecessarily. I mean, I'm sorry to say if it's noise, but some people make statements to demoralize the people, to show, because someone now brings the political battle into the development of the Ugandans. Because recently I had an MP on TV saying that, I don't understand parish model. Read an MP who even approved the budget. You know, sometimes those are amusing situations whereby you find an MP on radio or TV trying to say, I have not understood parish model. Then why are you an MP?
What are you going to communicate?
Because even these MPs of ours, they also need the training. Me, by the look at the training, should start with the leaders. MPs are seated there, and some of them may need this information. Some of them, some know, some don't. So they also need to be empowered with information. Because some of them fear even to come back to us. Because you're going to ask very many questions. Because me, I can be a councillor, and I would ask my MP, you approved this money, what was it going to do? Because before you approve, they have to give you the accountability. What is it going to do? And some of them are not informed. So, to move forward, continuous awareness and sensitization and community mobilizations. Because I believe that's where the mindset change will start.
Okay.
Yes.
Mindset change is something that we really need, and of course, good. This is one of the pillars. Mobilization, mindset change. Then the most exciting among the 7 happens to be financial inclusion. Well, in the interest of time, let me have your final remarks.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kirabo. As we mourn our Right Honorable Speaker, the late Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, yes, because he's a resident of my division, so may his soul rest in eternal peace. I would send greetings to my people in Makinde division and Uganda at large to embrace this very wonderful program which has come to help us to eradicate poverty, to get us out of poverty, to help our people down there. So, and the other thing I would conclude with is we as people who really feel that we should deliver, we are going to do our part. Where necessary, we shall come to your rescue. And we shall support you to ensure that you benefit from this program. That's it.
Thank you so much. That is Mubazi Baker, Councillor L3, March India 1 Parish. Thank you for the time, and of course, calling upon Ugandans, let's fully support and embrace the parish development model. But I want to thank you more for the bow tie.
Yeah, that's why.
As we mourn the late speaker.
I had to do the bow tie because we're mourning a resident and a man of zeal.
That is, he would never be fully smart.
I had
if he didn't have the bow tie.
His statement that, what do you miss? He would always say, I miss my bow tie.
I miss my bow tie.
Yes.
Well, soon I will get one before the final send-off. Have a lovely day. Ruben will be here to take us through the world of sports, but we are in a week that is going to have daily activities till the final send-off of the fallen speaker. That will be on Friday. God bless you.
When COVID came, it felt like it destroyed everything my mom had built. She was ready to let go of her dreams. But when one door shuts, a window opens. She grabbed her last kamani and took a leap of faith. She refused to give up. So with a bit of daring and grandma's secret recipe, her business was back. And not just bigger, beyond her wildest imagination.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you, or call or SMS 162. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win! Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check under the crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Professor Maggie Chigozi states, the time is now for all of us to get vaccinated.
When we have one person who's not vaccinated, it affects everybody around them, most especially the ones close to you. Keep your family safe. Anyone right now who's over 18 should go and get vaccinated.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance